Hello everyone, and welcome to this iDismiss app online tutorial. My name is Jay Morales, and I will be guiding you today on learning how to use all the features of our app. Our goal today is that you're able to understand and learn how to use all the features of the app so that you have an effective campus dismissal. I just wanted to point out that during this tutorial, I will be referencing our user guide, which can be found on our website under the How It Works tab. You will find here user guide and tutorials. So you can go there and access it either online or you can download it as well. You can see it here. You can download it or access it directly here, which is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to open it online and have it available for us. So throughout the presentation, I am going to be referencing the pages so that it helps you find that information there whenever you need it. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to be casting from the actual iPad so that we're able to interact directly with the app. For this particular tutorial, I will use a specific login account that we have for a demo app. So I will reference the process of getting started once you receive the code, and then you actually start logging into the application. Okay, so now that I have logged in, I will begin talking about the features of the app and how can you reference this in the user guide. So if you want to have your user guide open and or your application as well, that's perfectly fine. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was once you create that account, that's going to be found on pages 3 and 4 of the user guide. You will receive the user code and you will need to use your name and your email address that is actually connected to your Gmail. And so that's what you're going to enter there along with your code. So once you download the application and you receive the user code, you're going to enter that code on the first screen or the first space of your app screen, along with the rest of the information, your name, and the Google account or Google email address that's connected to your school address. So once you actually enter and with that information, you're going to be prompted for your Google's authentication piece, and that's going to require for you to re-enter that Google email address. And so this is very important because this is how we're actually adding additional layers of security to the application. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that and that you use that code as soon as you get it to get started. So it's going to be the app manager who's going to be receiving that code. It is the app manager who's going to create the account and add the users. So until that happens, only the manager is able or has access to the app. So once you log in, it's where you're going to end up back in the application screen. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare. So we're back on the app screen. And so what I wanted to start pointing out here is that because this is my demo app, I already have students already here loaded. You'll see that information here. But where I want to begin is actually referencing to page 7 of the user guide, where it is telling you to add a 999 student, or what we call a fake student. It's just really a place holder that's going to be used at the end of your dismissal so that you can let everyone know that dismissal has ended or finished. As you can see, I don't have that student added to my account because I end up in 283. I need to add that student, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. To do so, I'm going to use the plus sign on the top right of the screen, and that's going to prompt me to add a student. For this particular one, I'm just going to use the words end of. And on the second line, I'm just going to title it calls. this is just telling me that my cars are over. There's nobody else in the car line, and so I can do the same here if I wanted to. And of cars, let's see, and then for that car tag number, that's where I'm going to add that number 999, because that is the last number, or as far as many numbers you can get on the application, at least by default. If you do need additional spaces for your dismissal because you had more than 999 students on campus, then we can certainly help with that. But the default has been set up to 999, just because of the fact that that seems to be adequate for most schools or elementary schools. On the scrolling bar in the middle there, I just set it up to other, because this is really not a student. And so under edit photo, I have that link there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open that, and I'm just going to take a photo of our logo, of the iDismiss logo. I suggest or encourage that you do the same with your own school logo. So you just simply snap a photo of it. I can realign that and then just simply use it. I just want to have some visual there that's going to help me, and I can save that. So whenever I'm actually dismissing the student in our campus, and I get to the very end of the car line, there are no more cars available, I can always enter that 999 at the very end, and that's going to signal every user that we are done. So if there are students that are still waiting to be picked up, then that will tell them your parents are still not here yet, because dismissal has already closed. So that would be the cue for them to perhaps move to the office and wait for or contact their parents. So now that we have that, now you also know how to add a student. So this would be the very same process that you would use if you wanted to add a student manually. You can definitely add all of your students on campus like this, but it's going to be a lengthy process to have to go one by one. What we recommend and suggest is that you use our uploading page to do so, or doing so. So let me go ahead and quickly give you an example of what that looks like. So this would be our dismissal file upload page. You will not find this on our website. This will only be shared with you once you request a code to be used with the application. So we need to have you requesting that code and going through the process. Once you have that code, then you will receive a link to this page. And this is where you're going to be able to upload that information. So we ask for a spreadsheet or a CSV file that contains the information that we need to be able to upload your student information. So that's going to include the student name and last name. It's going to have the grade level, the teacher name, and of course that car tag number. So if you choose to not share all of that information, you just have at the moment, let's say you're ready to go, but you still don't know, let's say you already have all the students, you have the car tags assigned, you know the grade of the student, but you don't know yet the teacher that the student is going to be working with. That's perfectly fine. You can just leave that information out. You're just gonna have to add that one manually by yourself once you have that information ready and available for you on your campus. I'm gonna stop sharing here again and go back to using the app. Okay, so we're back on the app screen. I'm going to continue now moving along. One key information that I think it's very important that you understand, and you understand very well, is our settings. So whenever you go to the bottom of the application on the lower right-hand side, there is a section called More. And so there you would actually find the user settings. So this is very important that you set it correctly, because it could make the difference between an effective or ineffective dismissal. So what I'm trying to highlight here is that all of these highlighted in green topics, adding and deleting and editing students, it's turned on. That's why I was able to add that student or that 999 fake student. Because I have all of these 4 categories selected, I'm able to actually operate all of these 4 categories. Now, if I just went ahead and turned that off, that means that in my particular device, whether it's an iPhone or an iPad, I will not be able to add, edit, or delete students any longer. So you may want to think about this specific skills in terms of who you want to have that ability, and then you may ask those users to turn those off. It's going to ensure that there are no accidents. Let's say somebody may actually have this turned on and they may delete a student by accident. So if this is turned off, then that's going to prevent that. So once you get your staff set up and ready, you have the users on your staff that you know are going to be using this. Maybe at a certain point, once you're setting up the application, you request that everyone turns that off. Same with the cars checking. If you're not going to be checking in cars, then you shouldn't have this turned on. If you're only going to be checking cars, checking students out, I'm sorry, then this is the only button that you should have turned on. So let's say, for example, if I am a teacher and I'm going to be dismissing my own class and my own students from my classroom directly, perhaps this is the only button I should have turned on. So for somebody who's going to be dismissing the students at the door, what we call the gatekeeper, then that should be the only button that that person has turned on. And so these jobs are very specific for certain people. And so that's what you should have them marked on their apps. Because I'm actually doing a demo, I'm going to have them all turned on so that I can show you how each one of these work. Now, another piece that's very important here, if you see here under student checkout module, it tells you the number of students to display at once. Our cap or our limit is 12 students at once on the screen. So if you have 10 parents that have already driven by the line, then you have 11, 12, and then 13, only 12 are gonna show. So the remainder of those parents are gonna start falling behind until you check out the ones that are on the screen. So you don't wanna make this very big because then you might lose track of things. So 12, it's an adequate number and it works fine. But now under the car entrance line, this is where I really wanna highlight and make sure that you're understanding how this works. Your school has the ability to have up to 5 dismissal zones if you choose to do so. So most schools have only 1 dismissal area, maybe the front of the school, the side of the school, whatever that might be. Various schools and many of the ones that I've worked in have had 2 different exits or dismissal zones, one in the front and one in the back of the school. So let's say that this is your case, you have 2 zones. You have to make sure that once you are assigned to a specific zone, you set that here to that specific and particular zone. So I can actually open this by tapping on the number, and then I can go ahead and enter the number that I would like to actually participate in. So right now I change that to a number 2. That means that for me, as a dismissal active participant, maybe I will be checking students out. Maybe I will be monitoring or being the gatekeeper, but I'm going to do all that process in the zone number 2. So let's say that's in the back of the school, zone number 2, that's where my working area is going to be assigned. So that means that all of the information, all the activity that's happening in zone number 1 or in the front of the school, that dismissal, it's not gonna show on my app. I'm just going to be able to see everything that happens or has to do with the students in the back of the school in zone number 2. So this is very important that you actually identify who's going to be working on what zone, how many zones you have on your campus, and that those users set this car entrance section to the adequate number. If they happen to be in the wrong number, all the information that's going to appear on the screen, it's not going to be pertaining to that zone that they're in. So this is very important that it's set up adequately. I'm going to go ahead and set back to number 1. Oh, and I do wanted to make a note here. Any user can actually move throughout these zones as they are needed. So if, for example, you had a staff that's working in zone entrance number 1, but you're short on number 2 and you wanted to move that person, they can change. And then all the activity that they'll see is going to be related to the other zone. So it is very flexible and it allows you to adapt as well. So going back, I'm going to talk about the particular students. So the information back on specific students allows you to edit that information. So here on this screen, you can update the grade level. You can update name and last name as well as teachers. So let's say that student has a different teacher now or has been reassigned by a teacher, then you just simply come in here and then you can upload or update that information. Typically the number stays with the student. That's how we recommend that it stays with that student throughout the duration of the time that they're in that school. So if Heather Williams is number 118 in kindergarten, she should be 118 all the way until she leaves the school in 5th grade. That way the student is used to it and this process becomes very just second nature to everyone. So here you can also delete that student. So if you don't want that student anymore to be on your campus because of that same reason that I said, they left the school, they're no longer with us, whether they moved or they moved on to middle school, then you can come here and delete and then you can confirm that if you wanted to. You will always be prompted whenever making any moves if you want to do that or not. So you have that opportunity there to confirm if you want to delete or not. So one thing here on this screen of the student, so here you can also use this screen to find a particular student if you needed to do that. For example, if I move here by name, I can find them or by teacher or by grade. I can sort and look through the information to find a particular student. And so let's say that you are, I don't know, maybe enrolling a student into your school. Let's say here, Maddie Ford, she's number 82, and her cousin will be actually enrolling in school, and her mom will be giving a ride to her cousin. So you need to find out what Maddie's number is, but you don't know it out of the top of your head. So you can search here for that student and that information. So you can search by specifically typing that information. So let's say here, Ford. And so there, that will give you the information for those students only. So Maddie and Charlie are siblings, and so therefore they have the same car tag number. All right, so I'm going to go back out. So to do that, I just move to any other tab and then come back to the students and then they're refreshed. All right, so now that I know that information, the next step is going to be how to set up your car lanes. And this is very important because this is how you're going to decide how you're going to be dismissing the students in your school. So let's see here. So once you go to the check-in screen, you're going to see here the codes that are entered. So for the person who's checking in the vehicles, there needs to be a specific information that they enter. It's going to be the student's car ID, but at the very end of that number, you have to specify which lane, because in your car dismissal, you're going to have probably 1, 2, up to 3 lanes. And so where is that parent located? It's going to be important that you know, because you may actually have a specific line or lane that your students are going to be walking and lining up to meet specifically that lane. So let me actually show you what I mean. I'm going to go here on the top left to where it says codes. And there you can see that I have 3 lanes assigned for my school: lane 1, lane 2, and lane 3. And that information, it's going to be located on pages 13 and 14 of the user guide. So I'm going to quickly do a reference there so that we are able to see. Let's see if I can move back. Here on the user guide, you will find, go there, the codes section. So like I was explaining, here you enter the codes, and here's where we actually set them. That's the page that I was in. But here are the codes available. And so you are able to determine your car lanes by number. So you just simply call them lanes 1, 2, and 3. Some people like to use cones, color cones, and they put cones in certain areas. So you could call it the red lane, the blue lane, the green lane, whatever you like. The one that I have already set up, it's lane 1, lane 2, and lane 3, and they already by default have a color assigned. So whatever you want to use or add to include into your car lanes, then you can do so here. So for example, I'm going to add a 4th lane here just so that you can see how I do that. So I'm going to add a 4th lane, and I'm just going to use that same example that's on the guide, and I'm going to use the yellow lane. Just because I don't need any more car lanes, I already have all the 3 that I need. So here, what I'm going to show you, it's using that plus sign on the top right of the screen. I'm going to open, and I'm going to say it's going to be the 4th one. And like I said, I'm going to call this one yellow. And so lane number 4 now has been added to my car lane dismissal as yellow. So these are things that you can determine, and I'm going to go back now and then just show you how that checking person would be. Now, these are action items. So this is what you would actually be doing during the dismissal. One person would be assigned to checking in vehicles in one zone or per zone. So if you have 2, 3 dismissal zones, then you would have to assign 3 checking individuals that will do this job. I always recommend think about backup individuals in case one of these staff members happens to be absent that day. For this particular one, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to now work in tandem with my colleague who is actually it's in a very different location than I am today, of course. And he's going to be entering the cars as we check in. So as you can see now, the cars have started checking in. And that means that that person that's actually going through that process, that staff member, is out there checking in the vehicles as they come in. This is right now my colleague who is not even present with me, which allows you to that flexibility of it operates from anywhere you are. So right now we're using additional car codes. So like you see, lanes 1, 2, and 3 have been assigned, as well as those with colors. So there is that opportunity to do so. As he's checking in, what I can do is move into that checkout screen, and you're going to see how those students are starting to appear on that screen for me to check out. So if you notice at the very bottom, the first student at 155 was Lisa Oliver. When I go to the checkout screen, Lisa is the first one on the screen to be checked out because that's how the parents drove in, and that's the place that they're holding in line. And so Lisa needs to be sent out first so that we continue to meet student and parent in the same order and same fashion. And then that way we continue to move that car lane adequately. So I'm going to now start working from the standpoint of the checkout. So if I am a teacher, and let's say that in this particular situation, I need to be dismissing my students from my classroom, I can do that. So the application allows the staff to congregate all in the cafeteria in a specific area, whether that's the gym or wherever you dismiss students from, you can do so. Or if you just want each teacher to do that directly from their classroom, which in this particular times, this has been very valuable to do so. So right now I can just come out here and then check out Lisa because I saw her. She's one of my students in 4th grade, and I see her on my list, and I say, Lisa, your mom's here. Please, you can go ahead and go out towards the dismissal exit. And then I can confirm after I've checked her out. And then other teachers, and or if I'm actually the one who is actually in charge of this particular group, I can do so. So this is where also those who are checking out have the ability to also mark absent or any other information. So for example, we have the siblings here once again, Maddie and Charlie. And so Charlie came to school today, but Maddie was absent. So I can go ahead and mark that here. And that lets the system know that falls into our data archives. And you know that on this day, at this hour, Maddie was marked absent. She wasn't in school. Now, Charlie is here, so I will actually go ahead and check him out. So I have Maria here, and for Maria, the other piece of information that you should know here is that you also have other. So if I select other, I can actually specify some information about Maria. So she is in tutoring. So let's say that mom came to pick her up, forgot that she had tutoring today. So that submits that information and that stays there. And so mom can just go ahead and drive away, and then Maria can just stay at tutoring as she needed. So here's another piece of information that's extremely important and valuable. One of the things that we notice and we have experienced for many years is that things change constantly during dismissal. There are so many different situations that arise here and there. And so I've often found people either running around looking for somebody or screaming with one of these megaphones, or there's so many different things. Somebody goes to the office and makes an all-call announcement. You can now take care of that here. Everyone who has the application open at the time will receive messages instantly that can be sent here. So if you see and you notice at the top right of the screen, there is a message composing icon there, so I can actually use, and I can type a message. So I can say, Ashley, in this particular case, is at the nurse. And I'm going to not worry about making sure that my sentence makes sense. I'm just going to make sure that the content is there for expediting the process. So Ashley's at the nurse's office. That's what I meant to say. So when I send that, that actually appears as a message to all the users that are using the app in that particular time. So if that pertains to me, I can see, oh, Ashley's at the nurse's office. So got it, thank you. And I can hide that and continue on with the dismissal. So this takes away or out of the equation all of this chaos of running around, because there's a parent that's holding the line right now and we're struggling to find where Ashley is or where she's going or what needs to happen. It could be that mom pulls up and mom received a call from the office saying that Ashley had some incident, needs to be in the office, so mom needs to pull up to the office and meet with the principal. So that could be sent here as well. So it's an excellent way to communicate in the midst or in the middle of the dismissal without causing any disruptions. You notice there at the top left, you have that speaker, voice, little speaker icon. If I actually undo that, those messages.
Car number 046, Ashley Taylor. Car number 281, Melissa Cooper. Car number 011, Deborah Scott. Car number 225.
Okay, I can also turn that off if I want to. I typically don't use it, but it's a feature there available for you. So that information about the check-in and the checkout can be found between pages 12 and pages 16 of the user guide. Making sure with my list here that I'm actually addressing all the information that you will need. So there's also the gatekeeper. So the dismissal, it's going to be managed at the very bottom where it says dismiss and you see the door icon. So the gatekeeper is that person who's going to be standing at the door because you've already checked out the student, let's say from the classroom, that student has made its way down the hallway or whichever way you want towards the exit, the specific exit you've designated for students who walk out through. And the gatekeeper, it's standing right there with the app open, and this is his or her screen. So Lisa was the first one to be checked out, and then Steve and Charlie and Ashley and so forth and so on. But what happens if you get a random student show to the door and it's not on this list, then the gatekeeper should not allow him or her to leave the school because that person should not be out. Only those students that are appearing on the app are the ones that are that should be moving out because the parents are already in line and waiting. So if Lisa comes my way, then I can confirm that that is Lisa, and I can actually select her name. That's going to turn her into green, and I can give Lisa the thumbs up to leave. And have a great day, Lisa. She walks right out the door. And as you can see here, a timestamp has been set for her at 2:04. And so this also gives you information about where are the students, how long they're taking, where, if they're wandering off. They shouldn't, because right, we have actually trained and taught our students that once this dismissal happens, that they have to actually follow that protocol. If you're using hallway dismissal or classroom dismissal, maybe you should have hallway monitors assigned to support and maintain that flow. But here is where you're going to be confirming the exit of these students. And if I am the gatekeeper, then I know that Lisa's mom is on lane number 1. So I may tell Lisa, as you go out, make sure that you keep walking on that blue line so that you can actually make it to the first lane, which is where your mom is. Steve, make sure you stay on the second lane, on lane number 2, or on the red line, so that you can make it there. Your dad is waiting, and so on and so forth. So this helps you organize and streamline the exit and dismissal process while giving you some information and documentation. You are always able to access this archive information for the entire duration of the school year if you ever needed to. You can always go back on a specific day and find out at what time Lisa left, if she did indeed leave or not. So you have all of these accountability here available for you. I'm going to move into now the walkers and the buses, because all we have done is talk about the car riders up to this point, but the application also allows you to manage those students that walk home, whether by themselves or with their parents, or if they go on a specific bus, whether that's a school bus or a daycare bus. So you get to assign and manage that whichever way you want. If you notice here on top of Lisa, there's an icon there with a bus and a small child. Then if I select that particular icon, I'm going to land on my bus walker page. So you may have staff members assigned just to manage a specific bus or buses, and or the students that are walking home, because that's important to you and your campus, and you need to have that accountability and control as well. So here, if you notice on the far right, there's a scrolling icon that I can use to find the bus that I need, or if my students are walking with the parents, I can set to that, or if they're a walker, I can set it to that as well. So if you're constantly working with this page, you can always manage this according to your needs and set it like that. So in this particular case, the students do not need to enter a number at the end after their number has been entered to show that lane. They just simply enter the name. And this could be that as the student is walking out the door, they just tell you their number and you just type it, whomever is actually managing that exit. So if a student is actually walking home and he or she tells me when he dismisses, all he says is like, number 5, got it, Thomas, have a fantastic day. And Thomas walks out the door. So I just recorded Thomas walking exit at 2:07. But I can see that there's another door or another section that's been assigned for parents who are coming to pick up their students. So I can actually set it up to that. Students that are walking with their parents. And so I can try dismissing that particular those students in that fashion. So if I actually set up Thomas here again, and I dismiss, you're going to notice that now it says walking with parents. So I can tell you that Thomas actually left with his mom or his dad. So information for you to keep as well. You can always select your um, school buses like that. So if I select that for Thomas in this particular case, now it's showing me that he's living on the Kids Castle daycare bus. So I actually add this information here. I can set up my buses as well. So on the far right where you see codes, if you tap there, you can see all the buses and criteria that I have actually assigned. And I do that by using that plus sign symbol. Now this information, it's going to be on page number 20 of the user guide, and it'll tell you the codes that we have available as well as how to enter them. So let's see here. I'm going to give it a shot and try to enter. So I'm going to type a B. And my new number, it's going to be bus 200. And so I'm just going to type bus 200. I'm going to add that one. So you can see that now I have a new bus added to my line. So I can go back. And whenever I actually type that information, I can set it up to that one. So you pretty much program the information or the buses that you need here so that you have them available for you. So now that I have that bus set up, as I dismiss Thomas, Thomas is going to be now riding bus number 200, and he actually boarded that bus at 209. So let's see now, we've talked about sending messages as well, but one thing I just caught myself, and I think it's very important that I share with you, I talked to you about entering the student's number without a code. And I'm going to go back to the card check-in section, because what that means is that for Thomas, we learned that he's number 005, but if I enter that information as a card check-in person, it's not going to be sufficient. I need to specify, and I know Thomas is number 5, but I need to tell everybody else in what lane mom or dad are pulling up. And so we learn about lanes 1, 2, and 3. We learn about yellow. So if Thomas' mom is riding on the yellow lane, then I need to enter number 4, because that was the lane that I assigned for that. So when I do the check-in, there it is. Thomas is on the yellow lane. Now, if I wanted to use my lane numbers, so I can go back and do 005, number 1, that means dad is on lane number 1. And as I check in, Thomas is going to appear on lane number 1. So you tell the user where those students are by using these codes. And that's a key important piece of information that I missed, but I'm glad I caught that. So now that I am done here, I am going to talk about settings. And settings are on page number 26. So if you go to the lower right where it says more, we can go back to the settings. We've already addressed these early on at the very beginning, but notice that all of these I was able to do so because all of these were turned on. So going back to that, I think it's very important that you really highlight and ensure that once you assign for each staff member, that they understand that. If you ever needed someone to do another job, let's say that you have somebody only checking out cars. Let's say that you have a staff member that he or she only checks out students by a specific group, but today you need help with checking in cars because your check-in person is not here. If you tell Miss Robinson, please go out to check in the vehicles because you happen to have that last hour of the day available, so I need you to go and be ready for when the cars come in. If Miss Robinson goes out there, opens the app, and tries to check in and can't, here's the problem. She needs to come into this page and turn that on, and then she can do that. So it's all about those permissions, and you can make sure that they're set up adequately. So one of the things is that you have the chance and the opportunity to search the archive. Like I said, all the information that you enter here stays here for you. It's only available to you, and you can access that throughout the entire school year. So you have here a search archive data. So if I go there, you can see that I have a range of dates here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the from. I'm going to move back a couple of months up to May. And so I want to see what the activity of my dismissal for specific students was between May and July. And I want you to also notice a very key important piece here. On the car number window on the far right of the screen, you see an asterisk or a little dot there. When that is there, it's going to draw or pull all of the students in your database. That actually went through that process. So if I click search right now, all of the students, including the ones that I just recently did, are going to appear here. So that's the entire set of students that are actually going to be writing and being dismissed. They're going to show up here. Now, because this is a demo app, you see a lot of them are checked out but not dismissed. They're not in green, they don't have a timestamp. Again, this is a demo app. In your real app, you should see everybody on green as they have been dismissed. If you don't, then that's information that you know about that particular student. He or she did not or was not confirmed out that day. Now, I just showed you everybody, but you can actually filter this information. So instead of having the asterisk there on the top right, you can change that to a specific number. So in this particular case, we can search for the fourth sibling. So all I have to do is just tap in there, take out that asterisk, and type number 82. And write 082. And then I click search. And that's going to only pull out the information just for the fourth siblings, for Maddie and Charlie. And so I can actually find out specific information about them if you needed that. It's just available for you. And I think it's another important feature of the app that you have that history embedded into the application. So I'm going to go back, and one thing that I wanted to show you or share with you was at the end of the day, when you're done dismissing, we typically ask that the users reset their app because you want to have sort of like a clean slate for the next day. In reality, you can use the application at any time. So if your dismissal is at 3 o'clock and all your students are gone, but you still have after school programs, you can open it up and continue using it. So it's not like you have to reset it each time. Ideally, you do want to reset it. So just, again, you have a clean slate the next day. And so the way to do that is you come here to reset and archive data. And so this should be done when you're completely done at the end of the day. And so you click on reset and you're going to be prompted to enter a specific key password. The app manager will receive this information, and he or she can share that with specific key people. Perhaps the person that's doing the check-in, once the cars have come in and finished, that person goes ahead and resets. If you need the app to be open until the end of the day, after 5, 6 o'clock, then maybe somebody at that time should be assigned to reset that password every day. And so whenever I enter my information here, let me see. Then that's going to go ahead and process that and confirm that it has been archived. So when I clear and I go back to my check-in, all of my students are cleared out. So let's see under more settings. Okay, so now I have my app ready to go for the next day. As you can see, everything is just being cleared out again. So I think this is pretty much everything that you should know and have on your toolbox in terms of knowing how to use the application. as you use the application, you're going to start making this more your own. Whatever the needs are on your campus, you're going to find we can move here, we can dismiss from over there. I know how to do this. I can manage this group. It's just a matter of time. Once you start getting the hang of things, and you're going to really find that it's extremely flexible and useful for you. So a few things that I wanted to show and share with you before I end up the tutorial session is that we recommend that you identify a specific set of staff members that are going to be involved in this process. So usually and throughout the year, the models that we recommend, which we have available on the website, I'm going to see if I can share that with you here as well. Make sure that I can make reference to them as I'm talking to you. So I'm going to go back here on our website. Here we have, for now, right now, because of COVID-19, we have some information here for you that you can access and use. One of the most appropriate models in terms of keeping social distancing is teachers dismissing directly from their classrooms. So we've actually set here a model that you can look for and use as a guide. It's not that this is like a perfect scenario or situation, but maybe you can use it as a possible a tool that you can adjust and adapt to your campus. So one of the key things is identifying the members that are going to be involved, the staff members. So who's gonna be a hallway monitor, who's gonna be the gatekeeper, who's gonna be checking in cars, who's going to be doing what throughout that dismissal process, whether that's during COVID or not. And so for that, we have other models here available for you. So once we're back to normal and COVID-19 is it's been resolved, perhaps you like dismissing and you find that it's more adequate to dismiss from the cafeteria or from the gym. And so as you gather those students in those groups, maybe you do so with not the teacher, but other staff members, and you can reassign those roles as well. But it's important that you actually set those staff members now, that you sort of provide them with this information, this type of training, at least the information that pertains to what they're going to be doing, that you set those settings adequately in their app. It's very important that you do a tabletop training, perhaps just to run through, practice with them, let's say a week before or a couple of days before the actual dismissal. Let's do a practice. Somebody's going to be checking in, somebody's going to be checking out, somebody will confirm, and we'll go through the whole process to make sure that we're having an effective dismissal. We hope that COVID-19 resolves itself sooner than we hope. But in the meantime and in the process, it's our pleasure to be helping every school. That's why we wanted to go ahead and provide iDismiss this year for free, and hopefully reach out as many schools as we can. Again, our attempt is just to help out, and we hope that our application is an effective tool to help you do that. So with that in mind, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And we hope that iDismiss application can be a tool for you, not just during COVID this year, but we can actually continue to sustain a partnership. We're here to help. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our email address is info@idismiss.org, or you can go to the Contact Us page and reach us there. So we hope that you enjoy the application, and we're here to help. Have a great time.